Hey, welcome to the YouTube channel ZANDER. I'm your host Tim ZANDER alongside Mario Lamoureux with Lamoureux Hockey. How are you doing today, Mario?
Doing good. Appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you joining us to just give us a little bit about what you have to offer for the community and how it's all evolved over time.
Yeah, so I started Lamoureux Hockey back in 2015. This was kind of my became home base for the off season when I was kind of in the middle of my pro career. And then just kind of started doing some camps while I was home in the summer, and summer to summer things kind of evolved and grew, and just tried to find different opportunities for kids in the area, and really felt like there was an opportunity for kids to do more that could accomplish more within the game. So I just tried to provide them that structure to make it happen.
And for those of you that don't know, Mario comes from quite the family of hockey legends, and your dad played hockey for UND, your sisters played hockey for UND, you played hockey for UND, but most importantly, I would probably say it all started at Grand Forks Central.
Yep. So I was a two-time state champion for Grand Forks Central. Played there as an 8th and 9th grader. I was just fortunate to play on some really good teams there, and kind of taught you the culture of winning, being able to be a part of that. So it was a lot of fun, good learning experience at a young age for me, and certainly helped me as I moved on to a junior level after that.
Junior level, you played at the Tri-City Storm for your entire time?
Yep.
And you were a 3-time captain for them. So how did you get selected then? I mean, you're still pretty young. You're what, 17, and you're selected as a USHL captain?
For me, it was, I've always tried to lead by example. For me, as a leader, I always felt like a good leader shows up and kind of takes care of themselves first and makes sure your efforts top notch all the time. So I've always just tried to lead by example, and I've always brought a lot of passion to the game, and I've never tried to really be anything that I'm not. I just play hard, be a good teammate, and I guess fortunately over the years I've kind of been looked at as a leader and been a captain on a lot of different teams. And just take the leadership role very serious. But for me, it was about being myself and showing up to the rink and putting in the work. And I guess certainly it feels good to be recognized by your teammates, to be voted as kind of like the team leader.
Sure. And after that, I think you went on to play at every kid's dream rink in the state of North Dakota, Ralph Engelstad Arena. What kind of an experience was it playing for the Fighting Sioux?
Yeah, I think for any kid, I think probably from North Dakota, their goal is to maybe make it to UND one day, and I was super fortunate to be able to have that opportunity, and I just kind of loved every second of being able to be part of that environment. Some of the lessons I learned from being there were so valuable to me later in my career, even what I'm doing now. The mindset that you gain from that, just kind of understand the culture of winning, the culture of being kind of team first, and I took so much away from my time at UND that's honestly it helped me through my whole pro career, and even into coaching now. I would say the things that maybe taught me the most was all the hard times that I had, and had times where I was out of the lineup and you're working through things, and those are probably the most valuable lessons that I took away was those difficult times, because that kind of helped me persevere later in life.
Hear that, young players out there? Even Mario experienced difficult times and adversity, and it wasn't something that he went one of two ways with it. He could have went the opposite way and just been all negative with it, but he chose not. He chose to go and work hard and push forward to even work harder for his goal. The experience at Ralph Engelstad with your trainers, nutrition, working out, that all helped you in further your career, correct?
Absolutely.
So because that's something like now, even with my own son, the nutrition and working out, he's on the verge of starting to work out more, but the nutrition just isn't there, and they don't understand the importance of eating healthy and eating right.
Yeah, every part of it is about improving. Like for me, my mindset is every day I woke up when I was a player, how am I going to get better today? And for me, it was like, hey, you get to the gym, you go on your ice, get your work there, but how are you taking care of yourself on the weekend? How are you taking care of yourself with what you're putting into your body? And like those things all start to add up. it was actually probably my first year pro where I really tried to dial in what I was putting into my body, and you're playing a 70 plus game schedule. That started to add up by game 40, 50. So, even, not that I didn't take it serious when I was in college, but really as a pro hockey player, I started putting like only healthy stuff into my body, and I felt so much better on the ice. So I give a lot of credit to the nutrition that I took a little bit more serious that helped me have a longer pro career, just being able to take care of yourself and feel good when you show up to games. And I think that's the fuel that's going to push your legs on the ice.
And eating healthy like that, a lot of kids, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, but it helps with recovery too. You're not putting all the junk in there that's going to work against you after, the hard games or anything like that. But if you're eating healthy and after the games, you're putting fuel back in your body that helps you recover, you're able to get back on the ice quicker.
Absolutely. So I think, especially, at a pro level, maybe a college level, you're playing a lot of back-to-back nights. So for you to feel good on Saturday, I think that starts more on like Wednesday, making sure you're fueling yourself correctly the days leading up to that. You have your Friday game, want to feel good, and then, for me, it just never stops as far as trying to make sure you're giving your body the best chance to feel top-notch. Big part of that is nutrition, and what are you doing before and after the games to make sure you take care of yourself. And I had a really good routine at a college and pro level that I think helped get myself prepared for every single game that I played.
Okay, this is a little off topic, but it has to relate to nutrition. Where did red pepper fit in there?
Red pepper always had room. There's always room for a grinder, an everything grinder with extra white sauce. So you got to live a little too. So, but always room for red pepper.
That has become our staple. Anytime we go there for hockey games, and my daughter likes it so much that I have to admit that sometimes we're there 2 or 3 times a weekend. That's a little too much.
I don't blame you, because when I go back to Grand Forks, I can guarantee there's a stop at one of the red peppers in town.
So after you played for UND, you played minor pro here in the States for a little bit, and then you went overseas. Where did you play when you were overseas?
Yep. So my first year in Europe, I played. Well, actually, my first stop was actually in Austria. Well, my first full season over in Europe was in Denmark, and then from there I went. It was Denmark, Austria, Norway, Switzerland, back to Austria, Germany, Hungary, and then back to Germany to finish off my 6 years in Europe.
And as we were talking earlier, you actually had the opportunity to play against your brother. What kind of experience, what kind of ribbing did you guys have when you're like, hey, we're playing this weekend, you're going to, kind of chirping what's going on?
We've never really chirped each other like that. We've always been really supportive of each other, but for me to say I wasn't trying to score on my brother with all my might would be a lie. I think I probably matched up against them somewhere between 15 and 20 times at a professional level, and I snuck, I think, 4 in on them. And I did get to go against him in a shootout, and I did score. So I kind of will always have that. But his team beat mine a lot more than mine beat his, so he's always got that. But he had a great career, and it was even just for 2 brothers to play at the professional level and to play against each other and compete. Super unique and cool experience, and I look back with just so much gratitude that we were both able to do that, and both get to live abroad. And we ended up playing in the same country, so it was a great experience. Really grateful for it.
So when you were done with your seasons, you would come back to the States. Is that would you just come back and be a lazy bum, or that's when your training hit hard?
I would say I never really stopped. So usually when our season would be done, I would probably take maybe a week, and I wouldn't really do a whole lot physically, but then I'd slowly start getting back into it, probably 7-8 days after, just to try. I never wanted to lose it. But for me, the off season was crucial for me. I was a player. I never considered myself like a highly talented player, so I felt like I had to compensate that with being in better shape and really trying to refine my skills. By the end of my career, I'd consider myself like a decently skilled player, but I really had to work at it, work on my hands, make sure my shot was dialed in, make sure my conditioning was above other guys. So I took off-season training extremely serious. It was a big part of my life. First thing that happens in the morning, you wake up and you train.
I remember you telling the kids at one time, like when you came back over here, you always knew that somebody that lived like say in Denmark or Germany, they were working hard to take your spot, and you were bound and determined not to let that happen.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's hard to go over to play in Europe and you're taking up what they call as an import spot. There's only a certain amount of those. And, you know, if there's 1,000 spots available, you got 5,000 people trying to get them. So it's very competitive. And when I moved to Bismarck, I didn't really have that culture of other hockey players that are training and skating together in the summer. So I felt like I was a little bit on an island. My motivation was two things. My motivation was the timer when I would do my training, and I would try and race the time with some of the different things that I did. And my other motivation was, I know that there's some guy in Toronto or some guy in Russia that wants the same job that I have, and I got to out train him today or I'm going to lose my spot at some point. So that was kind of my motivation as a hockey player. Even though when I moved to Bismarck, I had to start training alone, which was really difficult at first, but a great learning lesson for me. You know, I feel like I gained a lot of that on like the development part. Was actually going away from UND and having to do it by myself a little bit.
As you said that you had to come to Bismarck, when you first got here, you know, that was what, probably 2010, 2015 in those areas when you were in the off season.
Yep.
And so then there wasn't a lot of opportunities here. It seemed like when high school hockey was over and when the Bobcat season was finished up, the ice would come off and there was really no place to change or to skate or train. And then maybe one camp throughout the summer. Is that what kind of spurred your motivation to start Lamoureux Hockey?
Absolutely. So my first summer here was 2015, and first thing I did when I got to town, I was like, well, who am I going to skate with? Who am I going to train with? I need to get a group. So I kind of tried to seek that out, and I'm trying to get ice time. And whoever was in charge of the ice time at the time, I remember I called and said, hey, is there any available ice for the summer? And they very quickly said, nope, it's all booked up for the whole summer. And I said, well, I'm standing here in the rink and it's completely empty, and it's about the third time I've been here this week and no one's been on there. So I said, I'm pretty sure there's available ice. Can I get on there to skate? So one thing led to another, and kind of opened it up to a couple different groups to do, you know, some camp or training type stuff that first summer, and that's kind of where it all started. And I saw a big need for the hockey players in town to have more opportunity in the off season. I saw there were players with lots of potential that I felt like had the opportunity to maybe play beyond high school that weren't kind of realizing that goal, and I got pretty determined to try and help them get there.
What kind of challenge did you face starting that?
It was a big challenge because it was hard to get ice time. There wasn't a lot of opportunity. There was a lot of people that told me not to waste my time doing it. People aren't going to come to Bismarck to do anything hockey related, and I disagree with them. I think there's great facilities in this town. It's a great hockey community, lots of good hockey players, lots of good hockey people that are around, and I just saw that there was a great potential for players to accomplish more, and I really wanted to help them kind of realize that goal.
So I know that my family's been with Lamoureux Hockey since 2020. So now this would be our 6th year. You know, I think my son was a squirt when he first started, and now he's in high school. Maybe going to be aging out of the Dakota Warrior thing, but I know you have other camps that are available. But in the 5 years that we've been with you, you've gone from just travel teams now to dryland training and into summer camps and into a 3-on-3 league. Tell us a little bit more about some of that.
Yeah, everything that any program that I've had, whether it be 3-on-3 league, or traveling teams, different specialty camps, training, it was all kind of a different factor in which I felt helped my own hockey career. When we did 3-on-3 league, I kind of saw a similar structure in Switzerland, and I thought, okay, I think this could be done, and I tweaked a few things so that we could kind of maximize kind of the productivity that we would have on the ice for the kids. And it's turned into a great little program for kids to kind of work on offensive skills, get a ton of reps, lots of action. Something I just enjoy watching. A couple of our coaches, when we would kind of get each night going, and we got all these different kids playing all at the same time. I just kind of say, look at this art that we've created here, and take a lot of pride in it. But everything that I've done, there was a benefit to me as a player, and I wanted to be able to pass that on to other players to be able to accomplish more with hockey. And I always felt so much gratitude to get to go do the things I did as a hockey player, And I wanted other kids to be able to experience that at some time too.
That's one thing that I really enjoyed about being around the rink when we're coming to a practice or a 3-on-3 night, and I see you on the ice with little kids. Little kids, they just gravitate towards you, they get on one knee, they listen. For whatever reason, your instruction is way better than any parent coach. I mean, because sometimes, you know, as a parent coach myself, kids just don't listen to you. But you have that dynamic that kids just absorb what you're telling them. And the one thing that I really admire about you is when you get into the higher levels, you're strapping on the skates and you're going on the ice with them. So I think that's really cool to be like, you know what, I'm not going to ask you to do more than I wouldn't do myself, but I'm going to push you to get there.
Yeah, I always think like I had great examples that showed me how it was done. And my sisters had a great quote when they were playing, you know, for other girls. It was, if you can see it, you can be it. I always thought that was a great quote, and I just think that, you know, a player here, he doesn't know what it's like to train really hard. He doesn't know what it's like to push yourself sometimes. So if you can go show him what that, him or her, what that looks like, they're going to have a better chance to be able to say, okay, I understand what it's really like to push yourself, because you can see someone else doing it and someone else kind of trying to persevere through the hard work. You know, so I've always appreciated guys before me that have done that, and I've always tried to pass that message along to other players. And honestly, I love being in the battle. I like being in the fire with the kids. It's enjoyable for me, and it's kind of what I miss even from being a player, was kind of being in the fight. And I guess that's my little way to stay involved.
So what would you, or how can you encourage a kid that, not a kid, maybe somebody in the high school level now that is doing really well and they're considering moving on, when, you know, we don't have a lot to offer here for high school kids, whether they're male or female, and they want to leave right away. What can we do to draw those kids back here to stay in Bismarck, Mandan, or Dickinson, Minot, so that they can grow not only as a player and get the exposure, but also to help build their teams as well?
Yeah, I think it's important that you try to, you know, everybody wants to keep the talent within the state. I think players that are leaving, they're seeing more exposure and more opportunity by leaving and going somewhere else. You know, if you're a kid and you end up going maybe to Minnesota, there's lots of exposure in Minnesota. So it's hard to maybe not take advantage of those opportunities because you feel like maybe you're missing out on getting seen. So I think, you know, for the state, and this is what I always say to players that are leaving: are you doing everything you can at home to be a better hockey player? And if you are, and that opportunity is there, okay, maybe it's time to take advantage of something. But if you're not super dedicated at home, you know, and super committed to every aspect of trying to be a better hockey player, you're probably not mature enough to leave. You know, but I think it's important that we try to create exposure in the state so that you don't have kids that are leaving so young. It's hard for me to go to a family and say, hey, if you want to move on in your hockey career, you're 15 and you should probably go somewhere. It's, you know, I don't want to have to say that. But I think it's about trying to create exposure within the state, within high school hockey, and get people more interested. And I think a big part of it is kids that are at the high school level going and doing well when they move on, so that it'll attract attention to other people that say, hey, North Dakota's got good hockey players, and we do. And I would always go back to those kids trying to prepare and train and be the best hockey player that they can be. That kind of helps the next generation, you know, as they try to get more exposure.
As some of those kids that are working hard that don't feel that they're getting the exposure, word travels. And do you feel that other coaches will find them through word of mouth? So I was talking with a friend of mine who coaches in the juniors, and he said coaches talk. They can get found. Obviously, social media helps. But do you think that just the word of mouth is enough, or do you think they actually need to do the social media stuff?
I guess I don't know if a younger kid needs to do the social media stuff, but I do think coaches do talk, you know, scouts talk, organizations talk. If there's a really good hockey player, will they get found? There's a good chance. I just think if you're waking up every single day trying to get better, you know, coaches say, hey, we got a good hockey player, he's super dialed in, he's trying to get better every single day. People want kids like that on their hockey teams. So I just say, if you live it every day and you're a good hockey player, you're doing all the right things. You know, attend a showcase that makes sense. You know, try to find different things that'll help you get that exposure. But I always say it starts with, the off season when you wake up every day trying to make sure you're getting yourself ready to be a good hockey player, so you're prepared for those moments when they hopefully come along.
Sure. So as we talk a little bit more about Lamoureux Hockey, one of the things that you have now created is a tournament. And in March you have one coming up, the Wild West tournament, that started out with maybe 5-6 teams out of it, and now it's growing really, really exploded in the last 5 years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yep, so our Wild West Shootout tournament, I started it in 2020 when COVID was going on and Minnesota had canceled all their tournaments, and I knew that people wanted to play hockey, and I said, well, let's try and do it here. So I locked myself in a room for about a month, tried to attract some teams to come here. We were able, I believe we had 16 teams the first year, and then it kind of grew a little bit every year after that. But I at that time I had a lot of people saying, don't waste your time, people don't want to go to Bismarck to play hockey, and I just disagreed, and I didn't listen to kind of their comments about it. I said, we have really nice rinks here, we have really good hockey players, we can have really good teams, people will come if you can try to convince them to get here. So try to just make great relationships with different people around the state, different people around the region, and just try to give kids an opportunity here, because for us it was driving to Minneapolis every single weekend, and myself included, I kind of got sick of doing the trip. Yeah. I'll do it once or twice a year, and that's plenty, but I just felt like we had potential to do more. Bismarck Manor is a great community to host a tournament. It's a great town, and I just felt like the potential was there, and I guess I'm glad I didn't listen to those people to tell me not to do it back in the day.
One thing I can tell you is when in 2020 we were a part of that. And that was kind of a team building thing, because obviously you couldn't be in buildings or you couldn't be in the rinks until it was game time. So we spent a lot of our time in the parking lot. And there was tailgate parties, kids were playing games, whether it was cornhole or sauce pass and stuff like that. So I think that really helped build the off-ice relationships for teams and families.
Absolutely. I think it's anything that you do that's hard and you can do it with other people, you kind of grow together going through something difficult. No different than being on a team and you go through a tough stretch and you overcome it and you kind of bond over that. I think we all, to a certain degree, bonded that we kind of got through the COVID shenanigans and all these, a super weird time in history. But it certainly did bond us. And the year group in particular, I always look at parent groups for teams, and that was probably the most tight-knit parent group that I have ever experienced. People involved, everybody included. Go for lunch, everyone's there, everyone's participating in different aspects of being part of the team. And for me, that was really gratifying to see people enjoying being part of the team. Something that maybe I wasn't even, set out to accomplish, but to be able to see that was really rewarding on my end, that the parents are enjoying this and the kids are having a blast and they're getting better. And I always look back at that with just real fun memories. Yeah,
we were able to have a lot of tournaments in Minnesota. We went up to Canada a few times, and it's nice to have a home tournament. Well, like you say, that you don't have to travel. So what else does Lamoureux Hockey offer for people?
Yeah, so we do like our 3-on-3 league, so it's a great program for kind of just building, more so fun program. It helps build offensive creativity, lots of touches, lots of action, so I just enjoy watching that when we get it going. But we do all sorts of specialty camps that's just focusing on different parts of the game, whether it's skating camp, scoring camp, contact and checking camp, work on defense, specialized camp, so all sorts of different things that we do, and I kind of enjoy being able to break that down for players. And we do it in all sorts of different locations, and we have teams, and we have obviously big spring tournament that we do, so just a little bit of everything involved with hockey. Is there still room available for teams to join in for the Wild West Shootout? Yeah, our silver bronze weekend is very tight. We could maybe squeeze about one more team in. We still got a little bit of room in kind of like our girls division and gold weekend. But yeah, still a little bit of room, more so in that second weekend, but there is still room. Again, those tournament weekends are March 27th through the 29th and April 10th through the 12th. The first one is the silver bronze division, and the second one is the gold division for anybody that's interested. They could also, for the camps, www.lamoureuxhockey.com to check out what Mario has available for everybody.
And is there some sort of discount that you're offering for anybody that is interested and is like, you know what, I'm not sure. There's something that you could throw out there to just be like, draw them in and to enjoy one of your programs?
Absolutely. Type in the code ZANDER, ZANDER in all caps for 10% off any of our summer programs.
There you go. You have it. The discount code for 10% off at ZANDER, all caps. And we'll have that linked all down below. But we want to thank everybody for watching the YouTube channel, Zanism, as a station, a YouTube channel created for you. We want to thank Mario for taking time with us, and we want to wish you the best throughout the summer with all your camps.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on today.